in this episode of Wall Street Wars.
This is Tim, veteran heavy infantry of the Texan Army. The morning of December 18th, 2024 started off like any other morning for the past few weeks. A slow, steady rise in the markets, low volatility, and an antsy infantry coupled with a restless cavalry. Our infantry tackles stocks, and our cavalry tackles futures contracts. The commander had been prepping the cavalry for a downward strike for at least the last couple of days. It was as if he were planning a trap for the entire stock market. What was his plan? Let our cavalry get obliterated, then ask the infantry to attempt to clean up? We didn't know. So when he ordered the short attack around 10:30 a.m. Eastern, we in the infantry were not too excited. As we watched them prepare, we were thinking, is the commander making a mistake? Chamel Raghu, a man whom some people have been calling the Conqueror of Wall Street, was about to make a futures contract bet against an unstoppable bull market. It seemed as absurd as Hannibal crossing the Alps in the winter. ChameltheCow, they say. Well, maybe not today. So when the short was taken at 10:32 a.m., we watched from the sidelines with great anxiety as our cavalry brothers charged into battle. The noise was horrific, but the sight was sublime. It sounded like a runaway train veering off its tracks. Our short position on the SPY was right around 605. On the futures contract, it was 6065.25 to be exact. This was our line of control. Imagine a cavalry charge like a lightning bolt into the most adverse of situations. Not for the faint of heart, but nothing unusual for our commander. And so, the attack commenced, and things didn't look very good. The horsemen would advance downward, then get repulsed back up, and again, another charge downward, only to be repelled even further in the opposite direction than where they started. Our horsemen were getting maimed, bloodied, and for what? Things weren't looking or feeling good at all. But what could we infantry do from the sidelines? Our orders were to stay put. So, at idle we stood, weapons ready, our stomachs full, our minds rested from the night's sleep. But then, around 11 a.m., the enemy's line started to break. The SPY was dropping, and fast. The drop would come in an instant, and our hearts swelled with anticipation that this was it. The commander's call was correct. And suddenly, no. Our men on horseback get repulsed upwards once again. Our prophet instantly zapped into oblivion. This trap by the commander has been going nowhere. In fact, it felt like we were losing overall. Seesaw, seesaw. It was like watching a tennis match. Except the stakes were not points, but instead, life and death for our horseback brothers. For hours, this went on, each minute an eternity. Then, come 2 p.m., a fatal blow. Slash! The market takes a dive, our cavalry charge in full control and riding the wave down like a canoe tipping over the edge of Niagara Falls. Bam! The SPY goes from 605 to 600 in almost an instant. The commander's trap has been sprung. The world has shifted. This near 1% drop has been unheard of for what seemed like months. Word gets out that the Federal Reserve expects to make fewer rate cuts next year. The market hates it. Fear sets in, and soon, market participants are running for the exits. We soldiers spin around to see if we can catch a glimpse of the commander, who surely is smiling at the news. Our boys were in the green now. The horses roaring. They're galloping, increasing in speed and sound. Thunder and lightning in the flesh. The fleetest horses on earth mounted by the most vicious men on horseback. Guns blazing, swords swinging, curse words flying. A beautiful sight. This call came from the commander, and it is the Momentumcoil operating before our eyes. You see, when the commander flips the coil on, we have no choice. We are summoned in a battle instantly and fully. This financial superweapon, known as the Momentumcoil, is now engaged. We do not know how this avatar-like transportation works. We just know as soldiers we do, as we are told. And even though this battle had raged up and down for hours, the commands from the Coil were given long before. The SPY hovers around 600. We're up almost 1%, which in terms of a futures contract means maybe about $3,000. Not bad for a day's work. So the commander and the Momentumcoil seem to be right. But hey, the day is young. And now we're thinking, are we going to be engaged all day long? Or are we pulling out now with this win? As the day went on, the commander made this answer very clear. The cavalry attack would be sustained. But did the numbers of cavalry committed to the attack increase? Oftentimes in battle, even the resting observer cannot tell what is happening. We could see the cavalry pushing back the enemy far beyond the point of control, but the horses kicked up so much dust we couldn't see if more cavalry was sent in to fight. We could just see our guys on horseback advancing. And like lightning, the SPY goes from 600 to 598, then 596. What the heck is happening today? We haven't seen this kind of price action in ages, and now, all of a sudden, this non-stop bull market was dropping like a rock. How in the world did the commander call this one? I sure as heck didn't know. And none of my fellow soldiers in the infantry had any idea this would, or even could happen. But here we were. We go from $3,000 profit per contract to now over $6,000 profit per contract. And God only knows how many contracts or cavalry the commander has summoned. The battlefield is a mushroom cloud of dust, noise, death, and deliverance. Surely, there will be a market bounce, just like every little dip we've seen in the market for weeks on end. Surely, our cavalry boys will be repelled like they were earlier in the morning. But wait, no they're not. The market continues its slide into oblivion. The SPY goes from 596 and dips below 590, into the 580s. This kind of plunge hasn't been seen in maybe years. 589, 588, 587, and below. It reminded me of the insane volatility of February and March of 2020, the COVID market aftermath. Markets would move up 1% in 1 hour, only to push down 2% the next. It felt more like being on a ship at sea than being on a battlefield. But this memory seems to have been brought to life today. We soldiers in the infantry now are roaring in excitement. We want in on the action but stand and shout from the sidelines, roaring like lions for our brothers in the cavalry in this market rout, screaming more, more, take them all, take them all. And so the cavalry did. The market would proceed in what seemed like a straight line, almost straight down. It was said that the commander noted that every time he looked up at the battlefield, the SPY had dropped another 100 points. He would later say it was as if the market were moving on his command. The commander and the Momentumcoil would surprise us again on this day. The cavalry was not pulled off of the attack after 1%, nor 2%, nor 3% gain on the SPY. No, the cavalry would hold until the very last second of the trading day. Market, 3:59 and 59 seconds p.m. Eastern. The exit of our entire position at exactly 5870.00 on the futures contract. The commander had captured the entire crash of December 18th, 2024. All in one day, all in one trade, all without losing a single man. As the dust settled and we in the infantry could see what had happened, we could find our boys literally miles ahead, miles south of the line of control. The short position of December 18th, 2024 was a success. Perhaps the commander's biggest one-day future success in terms of basis points gained. His trap for the entire broader market had worked. So, could this 5.5-hour trade go down in history as one of his most profitable? In all, 1,920 basis points on the SPY would equate to $9,720 profit per full futures contract. The exact amount traded was not known by us soldiers, but If our entire cavalry were committed, that's about 327 contracts. This could mean a gain of over $3.19 million today. If my numbers are right, this was perhaps one of the straightest lines up or down I had seen in my years on the battlefield of Wall Street. Much less one of the straightest lines we have ever captured in a day. And so, as we infantry rushed to meet our brothers after the closing bell sounded, we would see some with blood across their cheeks, some with early wounds from the vicious morning battle. But all this pain, all the wounds, all the mental and emotional stress, all the agony and terror of war was washed away by the sheer thrill of absolute victory. The elation of knowing we had done what was not supposed to be able to be done. The cheers, the screams of joy, the sighs of relief of the end of the battle. The chants of "Long live Texas," "Long live the commander," filling the air of the open fields, banging the gongs of our cosmos of our win, of our sacrifice, of our conquest, to have gone the opposite direction of millions of market participants, and to have been right in the most resounding way we know of. This is how I saw the capturing of the crash of December 18, 2024. I saw the commander's trap go full circle. From my skepticism at betting against the bull market to the raging battle for the line of control, and ultimately leading to the historic market rout that ensued. It was said that Commander Chamel Raghu went about the rest of the day as if it were any other day. He enjoyed his dinner, walked throughout his army to congratulate his men. Heck, I heard he even congratulated some horses at our camp tonight. I am sure he will sleep well. ChameltheCow, they've been calling him. The conqueror of volatility sure could pass for the conqueror of Wall Street today. Our men swell in numbers. The cavalry attack yielding countless more horsemen, horses, energy, riches, and strength. Until the next time, this is Tim, veteran heavy infantry of the Texan Army. And this is Wall Street Wars.